Over the last several days, there have been 4 airline incidents. You've probably heard of 2 of them already. We're going to cover all 4 of them because 4 in just a few days is very, very scary, and we got to ask the question, is there a connection between them? We got the crazies taking over Syria, and we're going to kind of talk about what's going on there with Israel and such. We got some crazy stuff happening in Congress, about time. We got some of the congressional reps pushing for the Congress's slush fund to pay off assault allegations. They want that to be public. And yeah, probably should be, shouldn't it? We got that and a whole bunch more to talk about. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And these are the things that you won't hear on the mainstream media, or they get pushed to the bottom line. Some of these things you just won't, right? We want to keep you up to date so you don't have to watch any of that garbage on CNN. All right, Azerban Airlines, you probably heard about that, crash landed in Kazakhstan after being hit by a rogue Russian missile. The Russian air defense systems probably activated due to a drone swarm and locked onto the civilian airliner. And some people asked, is there footage and stuff like that? I believe there is actual video footage out there. But there's also photos of the holes in the side of the plane from where the fragmentation hit it. A very sad and tragic instance there. Then we got word of South Korea. And this seems to be even more tragic in the sense that it seems even more senseless. There doesn't seem to be a real reason for this. Lots of questions. Apparently a bird strike and then a landing gear failure. That's what they're saying. And I don't know, but it's interesting as we hear in just a moment here at what happened at these other 2 instances that did not have any people lose their lives. But these next 2, everyone was safe, but scary incidents. This is Air Canada at Halifax International. They had a landing gear failure and they skidded along the runway and off the runway. Very bad situation, very dangerous situation with an airliner full of jet fuel skidding on the tarmac. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. No one was hurt in that. Praise the Lord. But landing gear failure. 2 landing gear failures in just... Let's move on. KLM Royal Dutch flight to from Oslo, and they ended up turning around and going back to Oslo. They had a hydraulics failure. And they ended up skidding off the runway into the grass. Now, it sounds like that was hydraulics related to the landing gear as well. 3 landing gear issues in just a few days. I'm sorry, friends, but 2 is a coincidence. 3 sounds like a conspiracy to me. And I hope that there's some investigations here, but I have to ask the question, are there nefarious actors at play here causing issues with the maintenance of these aircraft? Maybe individuals were tasked to do this sabotage or to just neglect the upkeep of these things. It's a little bit too much of a coincidence, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Moving on, the crazies taking over Syria. Yeah, democracy and stuff like that. We're supposed to be rooting for these guys. But in the end, were they really any better than the guys they replaced? And in fact, I think we're starting to see indications that it might actually be worse, which is truly a scary thing. Israel has conducted continuous airstrikes into Syria, and of course, they've continued their ground invasion of Syria. Turkey has continued its ground invasion of Syria as well. The only person missing in this party apparently is the United States. Oh, wait, no. United States has troops there too. Never mind. We're all good. Maybe the British should come out and play as well. I don't know. But How many countries can send troops to Syria? That's really the question we got right there. We still got Russian troops in there, so the Chinese are missing out. I don't know. Israel not only invading Syria, but they're also continuing to invade Lebanon. And by continuing to invade, I don't mean like they're staying in Lebanon. I mean they're going further into Lebanon. And you say, Steve, I thought there was a ceasefire. Yeah, there is a ceasefire, but Israel is still invading further into Lebanon, which is against the terms of the ceasefire, but, who really abides by those things anyway? I mean, yeah, that's going on right now too. We got some things roiling the stock markets out there. Just be aware that stuff's happening out there. Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are now pushing for Congress to release the names that the Congressional Slush Fund to pay off assault allegations, where that money's been going. And Marjorie Taylor Greene threatened to do this if they released the Gates allegations, the unverified, unsupported allegations by one woman who just gave a testimony. She basically just said what she had to say, and this has been leaked out to the press. I mean, it could be true, might not be true, but that seems to be kind of shady behavior. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene said, if you do that to him, we're going to do it to all the rest of you too. Like if that's the standard here, that if allegations get made that they should just be out there in the public, well, then we should open up all of these investigations. We should open up all these testimonies that have been made. And yeah. Other news out there, cold weather deaths in the U.S. have doubled this year so far compared to last year. And it's even actually twice the rate of 2 decades ago. 40,000 people perished from 1999 to 2022 with cold temperatures as either the underlying cause or a contributing cause. That's 1999 to 2022. But when you break that down by year, we're looking at twice the rate so far this year. We're having a little bit colder of a winter so far this year, but not like super cold compared to other years. And like I said, things roiling the stock market out there. We talk a lot about getting into gold, silver, platinum, precious metals, stuff like that. Obviously, physical is best if you can put it in your hand. If you don't hold it, you don't really own it, but with your IRAs, 401ks, you don't really have much of a choice on that. We're seeing the stock market is kind of setting up for a bit of a drop. We had a little bit of a drop last week, and looks like we're going to have a little bit more this week, potentially. Things are not done with that drop. And of course, I've kind of avoided this, but we do have the spat happening between the Trump administration, some of the hardliners on immigration versus Elon Musk. And then we have kind of Trump kind of siding a little more with Musk, it seems like these days, on allowing more foreigners to come into the country. Now, I think that we can all agree that there are abuses to that. I know folks like Pinball have strong opinions on that thing. I know I'm a little bit on the minority side of things when I say, hey, if we can get that good talent, get it into the United States, they'll create more jobs for Americans overall. If you get some hardworking people that are going to start businesses and do highly skilled jobs. But I know not everybody agrees with me on that, but just want to point out that we do have that major split there, and it's got people on the left wing just super excited to see that split. Elon Musk has come out in support of AfD, which is the alternative for Deutschland or Germany, and that's got a lot of people bent out of shape over there. He wrote a comment, what's it called, an opinion piece, in a newspaper over there, and that has that has rocked some boats. Now remember that Elon Musk does have a factory that employs Germans over in Germany, so that is a thing. Down to Mexico. Mexico has decided that they're going to open shelters in Mexico for anyone who gets deported from the United States. They're going to be operating as of January 20th, 25 shelters, each capable of housing up to 500 people, which is a lot. So Mexico's being optimistic. I mean, they're not being optimistic, but that sounds optimistic to me that they're anticipating those type of numbers. So hopefully they're right, and hopefully they can take care of folks who are transitioning back to Mexico. A lot of people are going to be heading to other countries out there, but we'll see about that. An interesting report out there about Germany. There's basically what they're saying is that Germany doesn't have any capability of blocking any Russian ballistic missiles, particularly the Oreshnik missile system. And so the Russians are out there basically saying that the Patriot cannot block the Oreshnik missile. That's the new missile that they dropped on Ukraine just a few weeks ago. And basically that they would need a more sophisticated system like the THAAD system potentially to intercept. But the THAAD system has not gone up against the Oreshnik yet, so we civilians don't really know. And let's just say the military-industrial complex possibly doesn't know either whether it would succeed or not. The Oreshnik supposedly moves at speeds of Mach 10 or excess of that, and it can reach about 3,400 miles. So long range, fast speeds. Most likely these are hypersonic glide vehicles on the end of the missile, multiples, and they split up, and then each of the glide vehicles can maneuver to evade interceptors trying to take them out. So obviously you don't want a bunch of these things coming at you. And you got the question of, what's on these things? Like, is it just conventional munition or is it nuclear? I mean, how are you supposed to know? What happens if Russia doesn't pick up the phone and tell you? Germany doesn't have nukes, so yeah. And finally, we got the U.S. and Japan unveiling extended deterrence guidelines. So the Japanese military self-defense forces has been slowly making, well, actually kind of rapidly making that transition from being a self-defense force that is not allowed to engage in war to, well, if one of their allies gets into a war, then they can join in and help. So they've been building out their Navy, which previously they didn't need. Now they're building their Navy. They're building helicopter carriers. They're getting F-35s on those carriers. Japan is gearing up for World War III. And we see other countries doing the same kind of thing. The United States, not really so much. The United States having lots and lots of stuff that's dedicated to the war on terror. That's not really super useful in World War III. A lot of the U.S. equipment is getting old. We haven't been replacing systems as fast as we really should be. Some of the systems, like the A-10 Warthog, should never be replaced. The B-52, well, it still works for what it's doing, but in a World War III scenario, B-52s would have a little bit of trouble. They're kind of flying targets, and that's not so good in a situation where people are actually shooting back at you. Now, The nice thing about the B-52s is they do have standoff weapons like cruise missiles that they can launch over the horizon, and that could kind of make things work. But my point is that the United States has a lot of stuff built for projecting power, but not really for fighting World War III. And you can yell at me and scream at me all you want, but the F-35 is just not the right aircraft for large-scale engagements with air. I mean, if we sent F-35s into Ukraine, they would not do so well, I don't think, up against Russian air defense systems. I mean, they do better than the F-16, for sure. I mean, that's just the nature of it. But they're also a lot more expensive than the F-16s. And if every single one of those that gets knocked out of the sky is a tremendous loss, whereas cheaper aircraft, cheaper tanks, cheaper that kind of stuff is kind of what you need in World War III. But the United States is primo, top-notch, but only a few of them. Now, we could dig into our inventory and try to get a bunch of old tanks operational. We could dig into our inventory and try to get a bunch of old aircraft operational. But that's not really as easy, especially the aircraft, as people make it out to be. I mean, even getting mothballed Navy ships operational again would be, well, a real struggle. Most of the people that actually know how those machines work, they're not in the Navy anymore. And if they are, they've been promoted so high that they really don't know that stuff anymore. And it's been so long. Can we really get the mothballed fleet in Philadelphia operational to get out in the sea again? I don't know. Instead of building cheap, modular, and lots of, we are going super expensive, hard to build super weapons that, I mean, if you're an Aegis cruiser or an Aegis destroyer and you're using your interceptors to knock missiles out of the sky, that's great, as long as you have enough interceptors. What happens if they fire one more missile than you have interceptors for? That's a problem. Oh, hopefully your CRAM can take it out, but what happens if they fire 10 more missiles than what you have interceptors for? You can just overwhelm those defenses. And nowadays, stealth technology is only so useful. I mean, the Chinese can see. They can look at the satellite video, and they can literally see our Navy ships moving around. So, may not pick it up on radar, but they can literally just punch the coordinates in manually and send them close enough that the missiles can then home in on the destroyer or the cruiser. We're building very expensive targets, whereas China is building lots and lots of cheap targets. Lots and lots. I mean, like thousands upon 10,000s of Navy targets. Quite frankly, we don't have enough missiles to sink them all. I've mentioned that before. All right, friends, we're going to need our allies like Japan and Korea to do what they can, but we're getting into a world of hurt. All right, friends, those are your updates of what's going on out there in the world. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.